My name is Marcus Lawrence. Welcome to Marcus Lawrence Designs. It's my first YouTube video. Been following a lot of woodworkers online and thought it'd be cool to start my own. So we're going to give it a shot here. My nicer camera is dead right now, so we're going to use the cell phone and see how this goes. And got some other equipment I'm going to be getting here shortly. Maybe shoot a little bit better video quality and see how I like it. Thought it'd be fitting to start off by going through some of my favorite tools right now, and some of the tools that I use the most, recently at least. Do a shop tour sometime, go through some of my power tools that I really enjoy using. A little bit about me: my background's a pipe welder. Do commercial ship repair and run pipe welding and pipe fitting crews. Got about 15 months of welding school, associate's degree in welding technology. Went to school for fabrication and blueprint reading, welding, all that stuff. So that's what got me into fabrication. I wanted to build furniture. Once I started playing with steel, I started building wood tabletop furniture with steel bases, scroll work, and started bending my own steel. And doing the woodworking side of that, the tabletops, I started to find out that I really needed to figure out how to do that to keep them from cracking, turning to crap on me. So that, about 5 years ago, the bug of woodworking got me. Here I am. I'll start this channel. I want to do go over some tools, my shop eventually, like I said, some tips and tricks, and eventually some projects and some of the techniques that I've learned. Show some of my style of work, try to be a little bit different. I look at myself as a woodworker, but more an artist before anything. So different media, metal, whatever, I'll use it and incorporate it if I can, but right now I'm on a pretty heavy woodworking kick. So start here. Camera might not see everything. It's my new bench that I built. Do a video on that, go through it a little bit more. It's got 3/4 inch dog hole space, 4 inches on center. So I have these Kreg dog hole work clamps and these Kreg stops, and I use those in almost every project. It really helps to move some of this out of the way. Hold your work down when you're working on a piece, especially when you're hand planing. Get one in here, throw it forward. It's actually pretty quick. This thing will hold your work down really tight. It looks plastic, very good tool, very reasonably priced. Use that a lot, especially when I'm doing chisel work or hand planing. Speaking of hand planes, these two are my favorites that I have right now. I'll be bringing out some more eventually, but it's a Stanley Sweetheart low angle block plane. And this is my number 62 Stanley Sweetheart jack plane, low angle jack plane. The reason I like these so much is they're a low angle bevel up plane. So the blade bevel is on the upside compared to many of your other bench planes where it's beveled down. The benefit to that is that these sit on a 12-degree bed and the primary bevel's around at 25 degrees, so it gives you 37 degrees. It's a little bit lower in angle. It helps on trimming end grain and a lot of straight grain wood. Kind of keeps that angle low so it shears a little bit more. The cool thing about these is this is one of the most versatile planes you could ever buy. The number 62 low angle bevel up. Any manufacturer, any decent manufacturer. The reason being is you can get higher angles with these just by buying a different blade for a higher figured wood, or a wood that doesn't really want to work well with a low angle. Just get a new blade, and then you put a steeper micro bevel on front of it, and now you have a whole new plane without changing your plane. So you can use this for smoothing. It's got an adjustable mouth. Break this open, the mouth adjusts, so you can use it as a scrub plane. You can use it real tight for a smoothing plane. It's long enough that you can use it as a joiner. Very nice tool. Same with this one. This one's great on end grain. It's great on pairing off plugs or dovetails. So those are primary hand planes that I use. Chisels, I didn't bring them all out. There's no need to. My main set of chisels is a Narex. They're not a super high end, but that doesn't matter if you know how to sharpen them. These lower end chisels, medium grade chisels, are extremely nice if you can sharpen them. And I'll do a video one day about my sharpening method and what I've taken from other people. Kind of made my own. If you can get a nice micro bevel and a good hone on these blades, they honed out nice. And a strop, they're incredibly sharp. Really good tool for a modest price. Marking knife, I recommend everybody has one of these, and even a couple different styles. I get these nice and sharp. I use this on almost every single project, and this allows me to set a clean, crisp line, and it gives me somewhere for my chisel to drop into, so you can get right on that line, land on your perfect measurement. They're overlooked, and I think everybody should have one. Coming off your chisels, talking about sharpening, this is a Veritas Mark II honing guide. Now, this was one of the best decisions I ever made when it comes to taking my sharpening to the next level and getting consistent sharpening. Especially with plane blades, your chisels, it has this index that slides onto the front of it, and that allows you to set up this knob that moves back and forth and can set different bevel angles. You slide your chisel in the back, squares it up on here, you lock it down, and you can remove this very easily. Now, every time you put your chisel in there, you can get your 25-degree bevel angle for your primary bevel. And the cool thing about this is it's got a cam on it that when you turn it, it moves that wheel and takes this thing up about 2 degrees so you can put your micro bevel on, which is pretty ingenious, and it makes it extremely easy to get consistent results when sharpening, and that's what can bring these lower end chisels to a high end blade very quickly. Now, hand saws, for some reason I was drawn to Japanese pull saws. I think they're really cool. I feel like I have more control over it because they cut on the pull stroke. Therefore, the hardest part is the pull, which keeps your blade straight and doesn't want to bend on the push cut. There's some beautiful dovetail saws and push cut saws, traditional saws, and I wouldn't mind owning one day, but these are what I have. This is just a multi-purpose version. It can do ripping and cross-cutting on smaller stuff. It's kind of just a go-to if you just want to cut something real quick. It's nice if you don't feel like bringing it to your miter saw or whatever. I'll just trim up some boards with this, then I'll bring it to my miter saw for final cuts. Everybody needs one of these. It's a Japanese flush cut saw. I use it to trim off dowels, dovetail keys. It's really an invaluable tool, even for trimming small parts. I use it to cut dowels. This right here with the rigid back, this is my dovetail saw. Stays really straight, super sharp. You can get these saws, I want to say $25, maybe $15, $20, maybe $35, somewhere around there. They're a good entry level saw, and they're a professional saw. You can do everything with these. So move down on, talk about the marking knife, getting a nice crisp line, square line. Now this is one of my favorite tools I have in my shop. It's a Bridge City Toolworks square. It's made in the early 90s. It's this company in Portland, Oregon, made tools by hand and small batch back then. It's got brass and rosewood. Has a switch that pops out right here so that you can lay it flush on a piece of wood and let go of it, and it's not going to fall. And you can flip it back in. This thing is probably not off more than 2/1000 over 12 inches. It's incredible. Did a job for a guy and he pulled this out and gave it to me as a thank you present, and they're actually a collectible and I'll have it the rest of my life. It's a beautiful tool just to have hanging around. I own a couple of these in various sizes, these machinist squares. These are guaranteed square, like within 1,000 on the outside and the inside. That's an important thing. You get a lot of squares when you're woodworking and they're only square on the outside and not square on the inside, or vice versa. So that's going to create a situation where you can only do half the work with one. I use this to square up my tools, my joiner fence, and I also have a Wixie digital gauge, which is like another one of the great tools I bought. This will also lay out perfectly square lines, and I use it to check my work. When I hold it up to the light, I can get a really accurate reading to see if my my wood that's been milled down or planes is really square. So talking about precision work, now when I got this Incra, it's a Miter 1000 HD from Incra. It's a crosscut sled. Well, kind of a sled, not really. It's a crosscut miter bar. This is extremely accurate. I was highly impressed with it. It's fully adjustable and set up. You can dial it in within 1/10 of a degree. This fence extends out, has an adjustable flip stop. I believe it goes to 36 inches or so. I've had nothing but dead nuts accurate results with this. I think it's definitely a go-to tool. It's a little bit more on the spending side. I think it's close to $200, $225, but that in the scheme of things, if you're building furniture, especially multi-$1,000 pieces of furniture where you don't want to fight a perfect miter, it'll really kill your day. I think that's a really good investment, and just go straight to the top when you're talking about getting accurate results and fine fit ups, especially for higher end furniture. Now, well, let's go to here. These, it's all dirty. Cobalt fold open sawhorses with an adjustable height. They're really wide. I use these on all the projects I do. They can hold a tremendous amount of weight. They fold open. They have a slot for your 2x4s, so you can build a platform with 2x4s, drop it down. You can cross cut on it with my Festool track saw. Put a sacrificial board. I lay slabs on here when I'm working them. I also have a slab flattening router jig that I use on that, and it allows me, I put some 4-foot by 8-foot slabs off there and built a steel frame for flattening slabs with my router, and they fold up and get out of the way, which is nice when you have a 2-car shop. After I'm done flattening the slabs with my router, I have a number of Festool products. It took me a while to be able to save up for them, but I think they're well worth an investment. This is a Rotex 125 millimeter, about 5-inch, and this is basically taking place of a belt sander, but it's absolutely dust free. I don't get any dust in my shop with this thing. It has 2 modes. You click this over. It's gear driven. It's almost like a polisher, so it'll turn relatively slowly and just flatten your work out. It dust collection on these is incredible. I get these Festool sanding pads. They're mesh sanding pads, so the dust extraction sucks all the dust up. Then if you flip the switch back over, now it's a random orbital sander for finish sanding. It does a random pattern, so you don't see so much scratch marks. It's not going to give you as fine a finish as a finish sander. I use this on my slabs to get out my router marks, or when I come out of my drum sander, get the lines out of the way with this, and then I'll flip it over to my random orbit, go up to about 150 grit maybe, then I'll switch over to my ETS 125, which has a 2mm stroke. It's a fine finish sander, and I'll go up for my grits in there and get a really nice finish. This is one of the best investments I've ever made as well. Really changed how I did work and the speed in which I could do it, and the results I found with the tools I have from Festool is a high-end outcome, and the speed and time is key. It's how you make your money, but you want to produce the most beautiful product you can. If you have a tabletop that's finished sitting in somebody's kitchen with the lights bouncing off it, and you see a gleam right across, and you got no scratches or dips, it really makes you look like you know what you're doing. It's another little tool from Craig. Picked these up about 15 bucks. I got this from the idea for this from Finnish Carpentry TV. The guy is Dallas Fort Worth based. DFW Crown is his YouTube channel. He swears by these things. It's pretty accurate. I use it. I don't use it for like the finest joinery, but I find myself using it almost every single day that I'm out here. It's got. I use it for a depth gauge, for laying out depth. You can also turn it and lay it flush on here to lay out depths that way, and you can lay it across at a 45 as well. And so it's got multiple uses. It's also a level, and it just works really well. So one more thing on when we're talking about measuring. Another thing, besides a Wixie digital gauge for setting your saw blade on your table saw at a certain angle, get yourself a pair of digital calipers. I can read the non-digital kind, but this is just a lot easier. Cool thing about these is if you're doing a half lap joint or laying out any type of joint, you can open it up to match your thickness of your wood that you have. Set it. You don't even have to have the digital gauge on. Now you got your width here. You can go to your other board. These are sharp, so scribe a line, lay this on one side, make a mark on the other, take your marking knife with your nice square that you bought. Now you know where to remove your material to get a tight fit. It also measures inside, so if you put this inside of a box, if you're making a lid for a box, you can get your measurement on the inside of a box to a certain width, and you can go over to your tools and lay that out on one of your saws. It's also nice when you're coming off of your drum sander or looking for a certain thickness to get consistency in your boards. One more tool while I'm at it. We'll get into more of my power tools on another video. Did a job for a guy recently, and part of the deal was that he was throwing in his Festool Capex miter saw. Now, if you went to buy it, it's a $1,600 saw. I think it's well worth it. Would I want to shell out the cash? I was waiting. It was gonna hurt. I jumped on the opportunity to do what I know how to do to get a tool that I need, which a lot of my tools in my shop are situations like that. Once you start getting going, you're basically funding yourself with your woodworking and getting dream tools for it while you're doing something that you love. This is an incredibly accurate saw. The dust collection is incredible. I got some dust on here, you know, a little bit back there. I was cutting 4x6s, probably 50-60 cuts with them, and I don't even have that much dust on here. Keeping dust down in my shop is a big thing to me. This has a fine adjustment knob for setting your miters. You can roll it over and look back and just dial it right in. It's also nice. Has a little knob, you can lock it like that. I have a Rocco sliding stop on the T-Track. Instead of having a back fence, I didn't think it was necessary in case I have a work board. It's just works better for me like this. It's so simple. I like simple. The hold down, you just push it down, lock it, you're done. Pull it up, you're done. No more screwing stuff down. It's got a really beautiful inside and outside angle finder that comes built into it. Highly accurate. It's also got a depth stop for doing dados, and you can fine tune it with this knob and just drop it like microscopically at a time. The laser on this thing is dead nuts. It also shoots the laser on both sides of the blade, and it took me a while to be able to trust it, but it's the perfect width of the blade, and it's almost impossible to tell that if it was off or not, because it'll hit right on my knife line and leave a feather edge, because it'll split that knife line right in half. The blades are really expensive. They're really high quality. I think it's one of the best tools in my shop. It also sits close to the wall. I think it's only about 24 inches to the front of the base. So once you get the handle out of the way, I got a lot of room in here. That and the dust collection, beautiful tool. So thanks for tuning in and checking out some of these tools that I have here. Leave any questions you have in the comment section, and hit the like button and subscribe. Probably only have a couple subscribers at first, but hopefully it grows from there, and we can get this thing going and do some projects and get some tips out there and do a shop tour, and hopefully I can inspire some people to do this, because it'll change your life. It's a stress relief and it's good for you. Thanks.